The numbers still haven't changed. I keep looking at them, hoping they will, but they haven't changed. I'm having staff hand out to you right now the new revenue estimate. We're finished up, I think, this morning between our staff and the governor's staff. These revenue figures would show, as you noted, as you may have remembered, we started the session with a projection $6 million one-time surplus in this budget. They've increased that by $25 million, so we're now at a big sum of $31 million of one-time money for this session. For 2012, we started out the session with $216 million. That's increased as well by $47 million, giving us a total of $263 million of ongoing revenue to use in this budget for 2012 that we're working on. The leadership, as we met and discussed it this morning, gave Representative Brown and I a couple of challenges. The $263 million leaves us $50 million short of the one-time money in our current budget. So our first challenge is to find that, and I suspect we'll be meeting with each appropriations chairman, going over your list that you prepared to see how many of those reductions we can implement as we drive towards the $50 million so that we can have a fully structured, balanced budget. In addition, they've given us a challenge to find $60 million for the growth in public education. And the third challenge, as we're walking out, is we also need, I got the figure right, about $60 million to fund the growth in Medicaid. So we have some pretty serious challenges to do, and for every one-time dollar we put in it, if we can find that one-time dollar, it means that we have a structural imbalance that will have the same kind of problem when we come back next year trying to put a budget together and trying to figure out how to cover expenditures of one-time money on ongoing programs. So we'll still have a lot of work to do this week in trying to work over budgets. I'll be meeting personally with each appropriations chairman, and then Representative Brown and I plan to meet with you jointly as we go through these budgets to see how we can at least end up this structural imbalance with the $313 million deficit we inherited when we started the budget, and then how we can fund the growth in public education and these growths in Medicaid. I'm sure there's other areas of growth as well. As we talk to each chairman, you may be able to see some reductions you've made within your budget that may have to be reallocated within your budget to face some growth within your own program. But it's a doable task, much better than in many states as I talk to appropriations chairman, but it still means that although our revenue is going up, and that's certainly a good measure, you'll notice the income tax has gone up again the most. That means people are paying income tax. And that means more people are working and earning more money, and that's always a good sign for us, and that will then be the challenge that we have. I'd be glad to respond if there's any questions.
Any discussion? Senator Valentine?
I have one real quick question, and that is, do you know if our analysts, as they were doing the forecast, took into account the drag that we're going to have by virtue of petroleum prices and the uncertainty of petroleum supplies?
I'm sure in the general scope they did. We talked about it specifically. I think it's too early to really give you a full read what's happening, but it's certainly something we're watching very, very closely.
Thank you, Mr. President. That would be the one area that I'd be concerned on as we make revenue forecast. Obviously, we're all very pleased to be able to see that our economy is growing, but we do have some dark clouds still on the horizon that we'll have to be very watchful for. Thank you, Mr. President.